I said it out loud, you know now. Hi everyone, welcome back, or welcome in if you're new. My name's Nuala, and today I'm going to tell you why I am changing pretty much everything. I apologise if my voice is a little croaky. I'm still somewhat getting over the illness I had. So bear with me, I hope it's not too distracting. So today we're talking about changing how we do things. I have been doing things a certain way for a long time. I'm a massive planner. I kind of have a tendency sometimes to overplan things, but this year I feel really ready to switch it up. And when we think about goals and goal setting, especially in the new year, I feel like sometimes it's really easy to get into the habit of the trap of just kind of setting those really typical goals that you set every year and falling into the same trap again of keeping to them for a month, and then after a month or two you sort of slip out of the habits and all of a sudden you're just not looking at anything that you've set for yourself. You feel like a failure, you feel like you're not good enough to be able to do the things, and I'm pretty tired of it. I don't know about you. If you're the same, I'd love to know below. So last year I pretty much focused on my Etsy shop. It was kind of just putting together new collections, focusing on Instagram for my marketing, and I kind of felt coming to kind of the last quarter of the year, it just wasn't really working the way I wanted it to anymore. I was feeling kind of demotivated, and I think if you're also an artist on Instagram, you'll probably feel the same. It just doesn't feel the same. I'm not really big into worrying about massive number drops or anything like that. I'm not big enough on Instagram to notice a huge difference, but I do feel like there has been a shift. I also feel personally, I've been thinking a lot about how I want to go forward with my business, and I started kind of making some changes around the last quarter of the year in 2022. I know a lot of people wait until the new year, but I just kind of felt that drive to do something and change something, so I went with it instead of waiting around for the perfect time to start, and that's kind of the momentum I'm taking into 2023. Now when we talk about setting goals, I think most people probably have heard of the SMART goals system. It's a way to set goals that mean that you can actually kind of work towards achieving them. I think in the past I've set very vague goals, and that makes it so much easier to feel like you've failed because you've not set yourself a goal that is actually achievable in like a tangible way. So that's why I'm changing how I'm doing things. And I've realized as a mum staying at home and not really having a whole lot of time to actually work on my business, I really need to make the most of my time. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are the same or in similar situations, whether you're a mum, a dad, whether you work full time or you care for other people. There's just only so much time in the day that we have to do the work that we want to do, and can be really easy to get distracted, to not know what to focus on, and then you run the risk of not actually moving forward. I have done a lot in my business, and despite possibly not reaching the goals that I've set myself in the new year, there's so much that I have done already for my business, and I think it's really important to reflect on our years. Even if it feels like we haven't reached the goals that we set ourselves, I can guarantee you've done a whole lot more than you remember or realize. So I really encourage you to sit down and reflect on your year and properly think about what you've actually achieved, because you might surprise yourself. I know I did whenever I sat down and had a think back on 2022. I'm tired of feeling like I failed and that I've not achieved anything, when really I have. When I sit down and actually think about everything that I've done in 2022, I've done a lot and I've achieved a lot, and it's easy to dismiss those things when it feels like I've not reached whatever goals I set at the beginning of 2022. I want to talk about what I can do to realistically achieve these goals. My overarching feeling for the year is I just really want to grow my community. I want to engage more with people who are like-minded. I want to share the things that I have and hope that they help other people. I had put these changes in a little bit in the end of 2022. I started putting out videos on YouTube weekly. I really wanted to be consistent on YouTube, and that was just kind of difficult for me to manage whenever I first had my kid. Things change when you have kids all the time. All the routines are all over the place for a long time, but I feel I am in the position now where I can put the time in. But not only that, the systems that I am putting in place are what's really helping me move forward with these goals that I want for my business, for my YouTube channel, and that's what I really want to get into. I want to provide value to people, I want to help people, I want to get to know you more, and I want to engage with everybody in a really meaningful way and not just put out video and content for the sake of it. I want it to be really good, and I want you to enjoy it, I want me to enjoy making it. So that's kind of the vague goal, and now this is where everything is changing for me. I want to implement a system instead of just mapping out a goal without really thinking about how I'm going to achieve it. I used to just think of a goal and then not really much beyond that, and I would try to reach it, but there was no real substance to how I was going to do it. So this year I am planning to work in quarters with my goals. So there are 4 quarters in a year, each quarter is 3 months, and what I'm planning to do is break down how I can achieve my big overarching goal over those 4 quarters. It breaks it into smaller chunks, and then even within the quarters I can break it into months, I can break it into weeks, I can break it into days. It really depends on how much detail you really want to put in. And on top of that, I want to set systems. I want to create systems that are going to work for me. Now, everybody's completely different. You have a completely different set of responsibilities than I do, so my systems might not work for you, but I'm hoping with sharing the way that I plan to create systems, it might help give you an idea of what you might be able to do to help achieve your goals and feel like you're actually making some forward movement with the things that you want to achieve this year. So if you don't know, SMART goals, it's an acronym, so it stands for something. We've got specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If you have a look on Google, you'll find a lot of information on how to set goals like this and a lot of examples to help you. So I'm going to break down one for me and give you an example of how it works with the SMART goal setting system, and hopefully that'll help you figure out how to set your goals in a SMART goal way. So like I mentioned, I want to grow my community. To make that a specific goal, I want to grow my community by offering value and engaging in meaningful ways. To make that measurable, I will aim to post weekly videos that I'm proud of. It has to be attainable, so I have been consistent for the past 2 to 3 months posting weekly videos. I have also set up a system to ensure I have the time to follow through on creating videos that I am proud of. I'll get into more about the systems that I'm setting in place a little bit later in the video, so stick around for that if you're interested. It has to be relevant, so by posting weekly videos, it gives me the opportunity to engage with people regularly and consistently, and for you to engage back with me with the content that I create. I will be able to learn and grow from what I create. You'll be able to tell me if it is something that you're interested in and enjoying. And that way I have more opportunity to improve, more opportunity to engage. So that means it's relevant to my specific goal. It also needs to be time bound. That means setting a time frame in which you want to achieve the goal. So my overarching 2023 goal for this is for me to have posted 52 videos, because there's 52 weeks in a year. For me, having that consistency means that you are able to trust that you can come back to my channel every week for the content that you enjoy. I can trust that that means I've offered value and being able to engage with you in a way that I enjoy and that you enjoy. And I can link below to a website that gives examples of lots of different options so that you can get a better idea of what I mean if you would like to learn a little bit more. So for me to grow my community, I feel like I need to diversify the way that I share the things that I do. Right now I have YouTube, I have an Etsy shop, I have a TikTok, a Pinterest, an Instagram. I'm most consistent on YouTube and Instagram, but I want to be more intentional about which avenues I'm going down next year so that I can grow my community, I can grow my business, and I can make this a full-time job so that I can provide for my family and enjoy the job that I am doing on a daily basis. I mean, it's the dream for me to work from home, from doing something creative. So by growing my community, by diversifying my income, by diversifying the way that I create content and create art, it means I give myself more of an opportunity to make this a reality. I've seen other people do it, I know it's possible. Sometimes by looking at other people, you can end up feeling like you're not going to reach that point because they're so much further ahead of you. But the way I see it is, they started somewhere and I got to start somewhere. I've been only doing this business for about maybe 1.5 to 2 years now. So it's still very early days. I want to be more intentional this year about what steps I'm taking. So this is where I want to talk about the systems that I'm putting in place to make things happen, to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do and giving the attention to the things I need to give the attention to. I set out a Notion calendar, which means every week for the whole year I've popped in what the video is going to be, and I have a system in place to show whether it's just an idea, maybe it's the filming's in progress, the editing's in progress, whether I've scheduled it or if the video is published. So it gives me a visual aid to look at, an overview of where I can see where I'm at with different videos, especially if it means I might be making multiple videos at one time. It gives me an easier way to just at a glance know where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, instead of scrambling around week to week like I used to, where I would create the video and then not know what the next week's video would be. So this is the system I've got in place now for YouTube. I know exactly what video I'm going to post, which ones I'm working on, where I need to be with them. The whiteboard that I spoke of it's going to be the way that I break down things in a kind of visual manner in my studio, in my office. So I'm setting my goals for the year, but I'm breaking up everything into quarters. So there's 4 quarters in a year, 3 months in a quarter, and each quarter I can break down what my goal is for the whole year. So it means I have 4 different quarters to make those steps smaller, to make it more manageable, so that I'm less overwhelmed and I feel like I'm actually going forward in motion, like I mentioned before. Like I said, within those months, those quarters, there's 3 months, and you can go into weeks and days. But what I'm doing on the whiteboard is I'm breaking it into a quarter per whiteboard. So every quarter I'm going to redo the whole thing. It gives me an overview of what I've got coming for the next 3 months. I would like to put all of the information there. So with this YouTube goal, I'm able to put the next 3 months videos, and when those are finished I can tick them off, and it gives me a visual way to see them in the office without having to go onto my Notion. It's just a reminder of what's coming up. Maybe there's things I need to get, things I need to prep for the videos, and that makes it much easier for me to follow. I will put other things on the whiteboard, like shop updates, reminders for each month that maybe are important for me to do in advance, and it'll just make it much easier for me at a glance to see when I'm sitting at my desk, instead of having to constantly look at my computer. I can be working on some drawings, working on some writing, and I'll be able to just look up at the wall and quickly see what I need to be doing. As well as that, I have my bullet journal. I'm going to consistently work on that. I've got my weekly spreads, my monthly spreads. It gives me a way to track and keep an eye on everything I'm doing, and the weekly, daily tasks that I need to do to achieve my goals. I also just want to say, you don't have to change what you're doing. You don't have to set new goals. Just because it's a new year doesn't mean that you have to jump aboard the new year, new me bandwagon. If you feel like you're happy where you're at, then just do what you're doing. Continue with what you're doing. Or maybe you just aren't in the position to change anything right now, and that's okay. You've got to meet yourself where you're at. And you know, there's a difference between feeling like you need to push yourself to get the momentum going. If you need to rest right now, that's okay. You've got to be realistic about where you're at in your life, what your circumstances are, and what's realistically possible for you. And that's what I'm saying about this. You know, these goals that I'm setting for myself might be really big and ambitious. I want to be ambitious with my goals, and even if I don't reach them by the end of this year, that's okay. The systems I'm setting and putting in place for myself aren't to make me feel bad if I don't get there by the end of the year. It's just a way for me to feel like I am putting a little bit of control into the way that I've started doing things. It gives me a sense of momentum. These systems are put in place so that by the end of the year, even if I've not reached the goals, I've moved forward. I'm in forward motion with the things that I want to do in my business instead of being static. Before, I would set goals and I would sometimes get to the point where I would overwhelm myself with the idea of how much I needed to do to get there, and it would kind of freeze me in place and I just wouldn't end up going anywhere, and then I would feel bad, I would feel guilty and ashamed of wasting my time, and that's just not a healthy way for me to think. I wasn't in the right frame of mind to do the things I needed to do. I'm in a better frame of mind now to focus on my goals, and I'm setting these systems in place so that I don't feel overwhelmed, so that I can move forward in small baby steps and get to where I want to be. It might not be the end of 2023, it could be 5 years from now, but I'm still moving forward, and that's really the purpose. For me, the whole point is just to move forward. It doesn't matter how fast or slow I'm doing it, as long as I'm in motion. So in saying that, let's talk about what my goals actually are. I do have some very ambitious ones, and like I said, if I don't get there by the end of this year, that's okay, but I am excited about them and I want to put things in place to help get there. And you know, fingers crossed it is the end of this year or some point this year, but we'll see. So I'm going to go through my the goals I'm setting myself this year. I have one I'm kind of scared about. I'm kind of apprehensive about saying out loud, but I'm going to do it. So if you want to know what that is, stick around. Yeah, I'm excited, so let's get into it. Like I was saying before, the overarching goal is to grow my community, to engage, to provide value and create art and content that is meaningful and will help others and that I enjoy. So my next goal is related to Etsy and the art I create and things that I want to sell in my shop. Last year I didn't really have any proper plan for when I was going to launch things. I just kind of went with the flow, winged it, didn't really have much of a plan in terms of when I would release things. If I got an idea, I would run with it, I would plan it still. You know, I still have planning involved in a lot of what I did with my shop launches, but this year I want to plan in advance exactly when I'm launching things for my shop. I might not know exactly what the details of it are going to be, but I want to plan when the launch is, a rough idea of what the theme might be, and then it means I can work backwards. I don't have to worry about being too late about getting things out. One mistake I made with one of my launches was not giving myself enough time to properly plan for manufacturing, because I got the things on time but they weren't done properly. There was errors. So I want to make sure this year, whenever I'm manufacturing things externally and whenever I'm creating new products in-house, I give myself enough time to get it perfect, and for other external people to make sure that it's done right, so that I'm giving people the best product I can possibly provide. That's why I want to know in advance when I am launching everything. So I'm hoping to do 3 to 4 launches this year. Each quarter basically will have one launch, with the exception maybe near the end of the year there might be 2. I need to work out the details of that yet, but from what I can tell from my planning so far, there will be 3 to 4 launches this year on my Etsy shop. Basically that gives me approximately 3 months to work on each launch. I can break that down into monthly options. For the first month I could spend time planning, researching, figuring out the theme, getting my mood board together, my ideas together, starting some preliminary sketches, finding color palettes. Second month will be me refining everything. I'm doing proper sketches, I'm getting everything colored in, I'm making sure that all of the artwork I'm creating is then put in to the proper format for whatever I am making, whether it's stickers, whether it's notepads. And then the last month basically will give me the opportunity to do all of the admin work. I can photograph, put everything on Etsy, get all the listings ready, prepare all of the content I need to promote the new launch coming up, and then I can launch. Once that's done, I'm basically repeating the same steps. So these are the systems that I'm talking about. I want to set a system up for everything. This way, even if I fall behind, I know what I need to do. I'm not scrambling around with no clear idea of what my next step is. My next goal is to work on my email list. If you're a small business owner or you're a big business owner, I think it's clear by now through social media, email lists are really important. You could lose your Instagram, something could happen to your YouTube channel, things can just disappear. This isn't in my control. I wish it was, but it's just not. My email list is something that I have control over, and I need to put more effort into it. My plan is send out something to my email list at least once a month. So that means it's 3 times a quarter. I've broken that down again. It's really specific. It's time bound. You know, it's a privilege to have somebody on your mailing list. I know for sure I'm quite specific about whose email lists I sign up to. So if you're a part of mine, thank you so much. I have it linked below. If you want to join, you're free to come along. Some ideas that I want to put out there, things that I can send that are gonna be fun to create and things that you might enjoy. Some freebies, some discounts, access to information on when my shop launches are going to be. A lot of things that I maybe won't put out immediately on social media, or maybe even at all. And the one big goal I have that I'm kind of scared to say, I'm hoping to use my email list to have a little bit of a trial run on how I'm going to work things. So again, if you're interested, join the list. Wait till the end of the video and I will tell you what that goal is, despite how scared I am to say it out loud. I would also like to collaborate with a few people. I think it's an amazing way to meet new people, to engage with other audiences that you might never have had the opportunity to engage with. You know, I might be able to find people that I would never have found if it wasn't for collaborations that I've watched. So I'm hoping that if I can collaborate with a couple of people, that people from their audiences can come check out my stuff, people from my audience can go check out their stuff, and you know, just share the love. I already have one locked down and I'm super excited. That should be coming in about 2 or 3 months time. Working on some fun plans for that. A huge goal for me this year too is to get on top of my admin. I've been trying to find ways for it to work for me. I worked with a mentor who has helped me set up a way to break down all of my income and my expenses, and it makes it much easier for me each month to track everything, so that by the time I need to do my end of year like self-assessment, it's not going to be this massive task like it is this year, because I slacked and I didn't pick up all of the tasks I needed to do, and now I need to do it all at one time. And it's like 101 business. Don't do it. I'm going to tell you not to do it. People told me not to do it and I still slacked, and here I am with not much time left to do it. And this year I really want to get on top of it. So my plan is to have my monthly taxes mapped out at a minimum monthly. I'm kind of hoping that I can set time aside weekly to do it. So on, say, a Monday, I do the previous week's expenses and income. Because I'm planning more now to set systems in place, this is where like scheduling is going to come into plan. It's hard for me to schedule certain things because of staying at home with my toddler, and that kind of makes it a little difficult for me to map out my weeks and days really specifically. But my hope is that if I set aside even just one evening a week, I can say like, okay, Mondays are my tax day, Mondays are my admin day, so that evening I can sit down and try to get everything mapped out. Even if then my toddler is waking up a lot or he's sick or something gets in the way, you know, I can roll it over to the next week. If I set aside one day a week, it's not necessarily that I have to do it that week. If things get in the way, that's fine, that's life. But I want it to be a minimum of a month. So if by the end of the month I haven't managed to do any of those days, I will set aside time. I will get a babysitter. My husband has days off. He's full-time, but you know, obviously he works but gets days off. I will make sure that one of those days I am on my own and I'm sitting down to do the monthly tasks, so that I don't end up in 6 to 12 months time in the same position I am now, where I'm stressing out about getting the taxes done. Okay, now for the scary one. I've thought about this for a really long time, and I've been racking my brain thinking of whether I want to do it just because I've seen other people do it, or whether I want to do it because I truly think that I can create something that other people will find value in. And I've come to the conclusion that I feel I could do it. I do want to do it. I'm excited about it. I'm nervous about it. The reason I don't want to say it out loud is because I really want it to happen. And I think those are the goals that we need to not ignore. I'm afraid for a reason, and usually that reason is because I don't want to fail. And if I don't want to feel something, it's because I really want it to work. But I'm never going to find out if it works if I don't try. So I really, really want to start a Patreon this year. Okay, I said it. I said it out loud. You know now, if you've stayed this long and watched this long in the video, then thank you for sticking around. And wish me luck. I have wanted to start a business of my own for literal years. It has taken me like 7 years to actually sit down and get this business opened, to open a shop. I tried 7 years ago. I got too scared, I stopped. And the only regret I have is not working through that fear. So I am going to work through the fear, and I'm going to put it out there into the world that I want to open a Patreon. I use art and journaling, whether it's bullet journaling to plan, art journaling for creativity. I do all of these things because it helps. It helps me feel relaxed. It helps me feel less overwhelmed, less stressed. I've struggled with anxiety and depression. I feel like all of these things that I do because it helps my well-being. I feel so much better when I keep these things in my life. I wanted to start a YouTube channel because I love creating videos. I love the creativity of it, and I love the idea that I could possibly provide the same feeling from these things that I get to somebody else, and maybe even show you ways that you can also find the space in your days to connect with yourself. Creating is the one thing, the one consistent for me, and I just want to offer a place that is calm, relaxing, a little bit fun, somewhere you feel like you can put on a video and feel like you're just hanging out with a friend. You could be working, you might be doing something creative too, and I want to let people know that there are options out there for you to explore, to give you a sense of calm in your day. For me, planning, journaling, creating these videos, it's a way for me to be mindful. These are my mindful activities. Some people meditate, some people do certain exercises like yoga, those sorts of things, and this is my way to do it. I love to be creative, and it helps me get out of my head. It helps me stop the hamster wheel that goes on sometimes, and I really, really want this space to be somewhere that you can do that too. I want to create that with my YouTube. I want to create that with the products that I make, the art I make. And I just need to remember to talk about that, and to actually tell you that that is the purpose of my content. So for Patreon, I have so many ideas. I don't want to overwhelm myself, because I know, speaking to a few friends, how hard work it is, how much hard work you need to put in for a Patreon. I don't know if I realistically have the time to do as much as I would like to this year. But that's why there's stretch goals in place for things like Patreon. You know, if you reach certain goals, it's kind of like an incentive to add more. I'm not going to go into detail about Patreon just yet. I have some ideas, some plans, and I'm excited to explore them. I'm going to test run the ideas I have, so you might see a few things, a few new things happening. I'm maybe not going to specifically tell you which ones are going to be Patreon testings, just because I want to just put them out there, have fun with it, see if it's realistic for me. And in 6 months time, I'm going to assess where I'm at, assess if it's possible, assess if it's something that you want. I'm not sure if it's something people want from me, so you know, that needs to be a thing too. As much as I want to do it, you or anybody else, people who follow me on Instagram, the people who are following my journey, you also need to want to join too. Obviously it's going to be in the same realm of the things that I already do, so I think journaling, planning, art content, I think that's about as much as I'm going to say. So that's it. I'm setting systems in place. I have ways to plan in Notion for my content. I have ways to map out my months on my whiteboard. I have weekly options in my bullet journal. I have days that I'm going to set aside to check in each week, each month, each quarter in my journal. I have everything set out intentions wise. I have my quarters mapped out so that I can fill those in and reflect each quarter to see if I'm getting to where I need to be. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. This video is probably going to be kind of long, depending on how much I'm able to cut out in editing. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much for watching. I am so grateful to have you here. I know I've had a lot more people join my YouTube recently. I'm not sure where you found me. I think there's been a few of my videos being recommended on other people's channels, which is just wild to me, so welcome in. I'm so happy you're here. I'd love to get to know you more. Feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know how you found me. I'd love to have a conversation. If you haven't yet subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button to see more. You can follow along on my journey of these goals this year and see if I actually reach that big goal, that big Patreon goal. So this is the start of 2023. Whether you're setting goals, whether you're resting, it is all valid. I can't wait to do more videos this year, get to know you more. Thank you so much for watching again. I will see you in the next video.